Hi, everyone. Can you see and hear me okay? All
Yeah.
right, it's 5. We're just about to get started, so I'm just logging on for a second to say hello to everyone and welcome you. And I'm going to log off here in just a second, but we're just battening down the hatches just a couple more seconds, and Mario and Tracy will be on in just a moment. So we'll see you on soon.
Hello, everybody. Congratulations. You have made it to the the first of our two live community gatherings. Welcome. We're so happy to see you. My name is Mario Trigueros. I am the program manager for the Game Changer Intensive, and I am positively living my life's dream, being able to be here tonight and work with you all in this really ambitious endeavor to really change the way the world is. So we're so happy to have you, and I am so happy to actually meet you.
I'm Tracy Apple. I work with the Pachamama Alliance. At the Pachamama Alliance, I have been very involved in the creation of this Game Changer Intensive and the symposium, which many of you know and have experienced as well. And like Mario, we are just thrilled that you are in the course. We're thrilled that you made the time. We said tonight, but we know it might be this morning, because as we'll find out in a few minutes in terms of where the people are on this call, we're all over the world. But whatever time it is, thank you for making the time to be here in this, what we call a live community gathering. We will have one more before the course ends, but tonight really we're coming together to find out who we are, to find out what is this community you've joined, and to find out a little bit more about the intensive itself. So like Mario, I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm thrilled to be part of this. This is our 6th time we've run the intensive.
So, actually, some of you are probably, you joined the course originally, seemed like a good idea. And
now it's like,
right.
Not that good an idea.
It's 3 hours a week of work at the very least. So, we just want to salute your entering your 3rd week of the course. Congratulations. You've probably, hopefully been a little bit surprised at what you've seen, and hopefully discovering some things about yourself along the way. If you participated in the small groups, you know that we start them with opening sacred space, and this is a long tradition with the Pachamama Alliance. It's really a way for us to invite, at the very least, to really arrive, to allow yourself the space to really be here and be present, and to plug into something bigger than you and bigger than us. So we call it opening sacred space, and we actually have a really wonderful guest to do that for us today. Ruthie McDonald is going to do it for us, and some of you may recognize her. You may recognize her as one of the volunteer moderators, and this is actually at least her 2nd time. Ruthie is positively wonderful, and she's volunteered to open sacred space for us. So Ariel, if you can bring on Ruthie.
Hello there. Can you hear me okay? All right. So welcome to the call, and I'd like to invite you to, if you are in a position to, please close your eyes and take a deep breath and settle in to your seat wherever you are. If you have your legs crossed, you might want to uncross them and really feel the earth, feel Pachamama underneath you, supporting you. And get comfortable where you are and begin to focus on your breath coming in and out through your nostrils, and just allow yourself to breathe in the space. Feel Pachamama, the earth, supporting you. Allow yourself to sink and be supported. And also allow yourself to feel uplifted. And breathe up and out to where we are all connected. And I'd like for us to begin to breathe together. So if it's comfortable, you could take a hand and place it on your belly, just below your belly button. And allow the breath to sink in more. And breathe in through your nose and out and in and out. And one more time. Breathe in and out. We are all together in sacred space, and I declare sacred space now open.
Welcome back. Thank you, and Ruthie, thank you. That wherever you are, it sure looks beautiful.
Your garden is gorgeous, Ruthie.
So let's go over what we intend to accomplish tonight. Why have we called ourselves together? And we can put that slide up. It's basically to provide a forum. Tonight's gathering is to provide a forum for Game Changer Intensive participants to experience themselves, meaning ourselves, as a community, engaged in doing the inner and the outer work needed to change the dream of the modern world and to change the game and the cultural story behind it. And I think we have this on a slide, but let me just read it to you one more time. So it's tonight we're providing a forum for Game Changer Intensive participants to experience themselves, ourselves, as a community, engaged in doing the inner and the outer work needed to change the dream of the modern world and to change the game and the cultural story underpinning it. And that's a fairly nuanced, a bunch of different levels in there. But the thing I wanted to point out specifically to you is that we'll call it a Game Changer Intensive, and there are two areas of change specifically we want to point out. One of them has to do with ourselves, and the other has to do with the world out there. And I think, we looked over your applications and we read what you wrote, and I'm not sure that everyone coming into the intensive realizes that there are really parallel thrusts in this course. There's the inner change, who are we, as we live out into the outer world. And there's certainly things out there that we know and are committed to changing. But I think that might be one of the unique aspects of this course, is that we're working on ourselves as well as the outer world. Let me just walk through the agenda, what we're doing on this call real quickly. So we welcomed ourselves. Maria's going to let you know how to interact with this agenda, with this platform we're working on. Some of you we know are on the phone, and so a bunch of what we're going to be doing tonight is visual, and it involves a keyboard. So you guys may be experiencing a little frustration, or you're just going to need to be highly imaginative, because tonight there will be chances for those of us on the phone at our computers. We'll be asking a bunch of questions. We'll be having polls. We'll be having written ways to interact. And Mara's going to let you know when he talks about the technology orientation, how to do that, how to make that happen. Then we're going to look at what's the flow of this intensive journey. There's an arc. So your two modules in. Thinking how we're organized. And then we're going to hear from you as much as possible. Mara will explain in a little bit why we're not just picking up the phone and listening to you and having you talk and having your face appear on screen. We'll explain that. Then we'll go a little bit deeper about the intensive itself, a chance if you have a burning question or two. I just wanted to know, why are we doing this, or how is that set up, or this is what I've noticed so far. Hopefully we'll have time to do some of those question and answer in a written format, and then we'll move on. I think that's basically what we got in mind for tonight.
And really, this is a night full of really getting to know each other. We've got just over 65 people on the call right now, and this is a chance to get a sense of what kind of people take the Game Changer Intensive. So we're going to have an evening of polls and questions and chat, so you'll really get a sense of who each other are. So we're going to hear a lot from you this evening. I want to do a quick word, and we can go ahead and take off the agenda. Want to do a quick word about the platform that you're using. So again, you know, a lot of you, this is your first time taking a course, and we'll find out soon enough.
Taking an online course. Most of us have taken some course or another so far in our lives.
So there's a little bit of getting used to. So let me give you a quick orientation of the platform that you're on now. So as I can see, a lot of you have already been engaging with the chat feature of this new platform called Neuro. Up at the top right of your screen, you should actually, and the chat box will extend. In addition, you will actually see what looks like a little person with a question mark beside him. So that functionality is very specific to Q&A. So we'll get to that in a second. But as you can see with the chats, they go really quickly. It's a great way to interact with each other, a great way to get your ideas out. And it can be very distracting. And go figure, it's actually a little hard to focus on two conversations at once. So we're going to give you a ton of opportunities to use the chat feature and do your best to hold off on it until we actually have exercises where we'll be doing interaction. Now to the Q&A little functionality. That's the guy with the question mark beside him. So later on, we're going to actually open it up to any questions you might have for us. You can type them in there. They're different in that they're not public. So you can pose a question, anything that you want, and we're going to review the questions and we'll pick a few to actually cover. So go ahead and type into there, but you will notice you won't see other questions, and that's okay. This is where there are questions that we will get.
Mario, someone's asking, where's the mute button? Do we know that?
So actually, you're automatically muted. So we actually enforce a mute. So some of you have already probably noticed that. So, and that kind of brings up something else. You know, we would love to actually interact with all of you. We would love to see you all. We'd love to have a conversation. And we're kind of at the cutting edge of getting, 100 people on a call and interacting. The technology just isn't there yet to be able to allow the kind of collaboration and multimedia features that we wanted. So actually, this is pretty much, we're definitely going to hear from you, and the way we'll hear from you is through the chats, through the polls, and through the questions. But you're actually all muted right now.
Don't take it personally. It's not that we don't love you and want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
But we've heard people's refrigerators going off and, yelling at their children in the background, and it didn't tend to move the whole call forward. So we're doing you the favor. You don't have to worry.
Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and play a little bit with our first poll. So you should see a poll come up on your screen. These are basically going to be questions that we pose throughout the day, and you can pick one, and you should see a response. So our first poll is very simple: chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. This is just to get us rolling. And an overwhelming majority goes to strawberry.
Wait, but that was only 2 people. Come on now. Give people a chance. Let's have the chocolate people speaking up. Oh! Much better, much better.
Well, kudos to the strawberry folks. They were the first to ask, but they have fallen dramatically behind chocolate.
The voice of reason prevailed.
So you get the idea of how this works. So nicely done. Pretty simple. You'll see the results as soon as you actually record your selection. Somebody asked, you don't see the Q&A. Let me clarify. By Q&A, what I actually mean is that you pose questions, and later on, live, we will answer them. So there's no Q&A as in you'll see the answers typed out. Just to be clear, these are questions that you pose to us, and our moderators will actually review those questions. So let's go on to the next poll. And our first poll here, or our second poll, is this your first online course? So this is a simple yes, no. Let us know if this is your first online course. And so our first bits, we got a good chunk of people, 72% of people who actually have, they have taken part in a course. So about 35% of you, it's actually climbing. This is your first time. So, welcome. Again, I can't emphasize enough. You hear so much about online learning, and it's still in its infancy in lots of ways. It's still learning how best to serve people, participants. So again, to what Tracy and I have said, we wish we could just easily reach out and touch you, and the technology is catching up. There's also a whole plethora of technology you actually have to learn, obviously, which we've all done really smoothly. Cool.
I'd like to make one other point. We do have some people who, for whatever reason, are not able to join us by computer during this gathering. And so they're listening by phone, and every time we're giggling over a poll or something, they kind of wonder what we're talking about. So we're going to try to remember to at least read you what we're polling. And just to mention to everybody, this whole recording, including what's written over on the side and the chats and everything we say and all the visuals, will be available as part of the course site, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that if you're just listening on phone, tomorrow or the next day, you'll be able to get the instant replay.
Yeah. Did you mention the chats? The chats will be there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So, you've already seen 2 modules, and we just released our 3rd yesterday. So we wanted to bring up a slide that will give you a sense of what the arc of the intensive actually is. Now, some of you may have gone online and seen it already, but we kind of wanted to flesh it out a little bit for you. So what you're looking at are the 7 modules and the 7 weeks that we're going to be covering. I'm going to kind of create a separation of the 2, because Tracy actually mentioned this way that we are focusing on the inner work and the outer work of what needs to happen, and we really are committed to that. And in some ways, you can think of the first 4 weeks as really cultivating the inner work of what it means to be a proactivist, or what it means to be a game changer. So starting out, and then the second half is really the outer world. What is it we do? What is the state of the world? What is so? So from beginning with the introduction to game changing, we lay the groundwork. You've seen the qualities of a game changer, the qualities of spiritual leaders, the principles of spiritual leadership, and a bunch of other key pieces of content that lay the framework for how we're going to proceed. And that leads us to the power of story, which you've all gone through. And I must say the discussion forum on the power of story was just really moving. And people talking about what is the old story, what are their feelings about it, what is the new story, and what are their feelings about it. We've just completed that one, and we just released yesterday Evolutionary Activism. And this really sets to what is the big picture of what is happening right now with humanity? What is our role in this moment in history? Next week, we're going to move into a case for grounded optimism. And this is really, as game changers ready to confront the world, we need to take a stand not only for being critical of what we see, but to really highlight the victories that we have. When people are actually taking steps that empower the disempowered. We're really going to build ourselves up we're going to build the case for grounded optimism in week 4. And then we pivot to the outer world. We talk about the rigged game, about money and power, how money is involved with politics. We'll talk a little bit about race and mass incarcerations. We'll move from there into game-changing movements, where we will identify some of the key movements that we think are really worth your time and effort to invest in. And we'll close off with a really key module, what we call Going Forth. And this is where something that is key to this that we'll introduce, and that's the action plan. The action plan is really meant to take you forward into the future. What is it you're going to do now, and who are you going to partner with? So that's the flow of the course.
I wanted to make a clarifying comment. Mara talked about the action plan like there is one, and when you get to the 7th module, we'll give it to you. Spoiler alert, you'll be creating it. We're going to give you a ton of resources, but at the end of the course, you will create for yourself your own action plan. So I just wanted to make sure that you're going through the course, keeping your eye open to what are the parts that are really reverberating for you that you may want to move forward on as when the course does end.
Great, cool. Fantastic. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think not. Just to say that this is the 6th time we've done the intensive. As far as we could tell, it is getting better each time, principally because people have been really generous, kind, and telling us what we could do better. So we highly request your feedback, your input, because it's not just for us, you're then giving it to the next round of the course. So please feel free to let us know in any way you think this thing could be even better. To be clear, so there's several aspects of this intensive. One of them is this live gathering, and we have 2 of them. The next one, I think, is the last one is on May 6th. So make sure you've got that in the calendar. Then there's your coursework with your videos, etc. And I think you also remember there's a part where you could write in the discussion forum. And we want to encourage you to realize that that's a really important part of this intensive, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But just to let you know, we got people who get to the end of the course, and at the end of the course they say, I never figured out how those discussion forums work. We really encourage you to sort that out. It's not too complex, and if you have any problems, let us know or let someone in your small group know. They're a very valuable part of the course. Then the 4th element is the one I want to ask you about right now, which is your small groups. By now, you should have had a chance to meet with some strangers by phone, although a few of us in this course are actually taking the whole course with our members of our community. And as far as we could tell, it's a really excellent way to do the intensive. But many of us are doing it by phone, and once a week we're talking to some people on the phone. So here's another poll. We could post that one, and it's basically, can we look as community, how are these small group meetings going? So for those of you on the phone, the first choice is going to be I love them. It's the best part so far. Next choice is going to be, oh, they're fine. I'm glad I've done them. Next choice is disappointing. Next choice is I've had major tech problems. And the final choice is small group meetings. What meetings? So with all honesty, could you just let your community know how your first few small group meetings have gone?
We got so far about looks like 63% of people saying they're fine, they're glad they've done them. 25% of them saying that they love them, and a couple of honest souls saying, what small group meetings? There is a small groups page, so you can actually see your name there if you were assigned to one, and if you don't know what small group you're in or what we're talking about, email us at intensive@pachamama.org and we will get in touch with you. A few folks mentioned that the small groups are disappointing. You know, we hear this sometimes, and we would actually love your feedback. So if you're one of those folks who were disappointed by the small groups, I can't tell you how much we would love to hear your perspective. How can we improve them?
And just so you know how those go, each small group has a moderator, and then we all take turns moderating ourselves the different sessions. And some of us are new to moderating, so you might be feeling like, oh, well, she didn't do that great a job. Well, you know what? That's part of building this community, is supporting one another in running these small groups. We give you a guideline each week. We give you some suggested agenda questions, and then it's up to your group to come together. You know, in all honesty, when we read the feedback, overwhelmingly, people end up saying the small group is their favorite part. People love the content of the intensive, but the chance to really go at it with people, sometimes in other countries, about things that we're also committed to turns out to be highly, highly satisfying, I guess is the word I would use.
And you know, sometimes it's surprising to us how big of a thing this is. So it's really worth making happen. And I also wanted to say something that we mentioned in the small group guides, but I really want to say to you now, and that's that, you know, they're not meant to be gospel. They're a sort of roadmap of the weekly guides, that the main point of your groups is to dive deeper into the material with each other. And, you know, obviously create a safe environment and make sure that people have a chance to speak. But, you know, we've heard criticism that the guides are a little too constricting. Well, by all means, do something else.
Unconstricted.
Yes. Free yourselves from them. It's totally fine. What they're meant to do is, if you don't know how to run a group, they should help you. They're great sort of postings on the road of how they'll guide you basically. But if you find that they're constricting you, you're more than welcome to find new ways of using each other's times.
To go deeper with the material. So that's what we want. You know, you're getting some pretty rich material, and it's going to get richer as we go on. So use one another however you would be useful. Okay, we're going to find out a little bit more about who's in this course with us, and we'll look at a slideshow that gives a few stats, a little bit of information, a few quotes. So I think we're going to get that up right about now. There we are. Some of us are up there. A few of those people were. You might see your picture there. You might now be regretting that you didn't send your picture in because you're missing your chance to be famous. But this is what people who are interested in changing the game look like. They look like you and like me. Okay? Next slide. So, 355 of us signed up, and you can, what did we say the numbers part?
Yeah, so two things we've got here. So we've got age distribution. So we've got this broken down into several different ways, but for about 16% of us are from the ages of 35 to 44. About 17% of us are from 45 to 54. 25 or 24% of us from 55 to 64, and 23% of 65 or above.
Wow. Wow. Hardly anyone's under 18.
Yeah.
Or even under 24.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, the majority of people taking part of the intensive are over 35, and I would say a significant percentage are over 65. Very, very interesting.
See, you turned into a young chicken. Maybe you thought you were getting up there. Look, in this group, you're young.
Absolutely, and I will say something to be said about taking an online course, 65 and over. There are a whole other technology, a whole other language to learn. So hats off to you. Gender distribution, highly represented by females. 67% of us are female, 33% are male.
Great, thanks.
So this is our distribution across the world. You can see that North America is heavily represented at 83%, but there really are people from across the world. Really, all continents are represented in this course. So we got 4% of our participants are from South America, and remember, this is out of the 354. Was it 354, 355? So 4% of the people taking the course right now are from South America. There are 5% from Oceania, 1.5% from Asia, 7% from Europe. So there are really people from across the world participating in the intensive right now. And some are fine for any international participants. Hello, it's probably a very different time than it is for us right now. So thank you for staying up with us, and thank you for engaging in this project. We're really happy to have you here.
And kind of in truth in advertising here, the truth is the intensive was designed with a U.S. audience in mind. That's just the facts of the matter. And specifically when we're the two game-changing movements that we're heartily endorsing and heartily encouraging everyone in this course to include in their lives in one way or another, don't even exist in some of the other countries. And so when people from not the U.S. Want to join the intensive, we give them this disclaimer, so they kind of have to fight their way in. And I have to say, in every course so far, there have been people from around the world who just say, I'm not going to wait till you've got your act together and you develop something for us. We're too ready to go. And they have just been some of the finest members of our community. So again, those of you who are not in the U.S., thank you for jumping over whatever hurdles, not only in time, but in terms of content where you might need to be translating some to fit into your community, into the circumstances in which you're living. Ultimately, one of you will probably develop this for your country, your language, but until then, thank you for being part of this community. Next.
Go to the next slide.
So you may remember filling out application, and we asked you, why are you doing this? What's drawing you? And we've got some just terrific responses. I'm really sorry you can't read everybody's, but we just pulled out a couple. So I have just recently started to take better care of myself, and I want to take better care of the things around me.
I feel excited that with the Game Changer Intensive, I will have more tools at hand. I am also retired and have more time that I am able to use.
I'm young, but I'm very willing. I homeschool, and we are planning to make this a big part of my lesson plan next semester. That's that 1% person speaking up. Yeah.
My heart is heavy right now, but I have an optimistic spirit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Great. So, there's some images that tell you who we are. Let's actually do some polls to flesh this out of who are we on the call. So we're going to do another quick poll. This one really speaking to what is so for us now. So let's bring up this next poll. So how do you feel about the future? So for those of you on the phone, I'll go ahead and read these all out to you. Pessimistic, things will get worse.
And by the way, we can't tell who says what, so you don't have to pretend, oh no, I actually am really inspired. No, you can tell the truth.
Yeah, it's a totally anonymous. So 1 is pessimistic, things will get worse. 2, worried but hopeful. 3, optimistic that we can make change. And 4, don't really think about it. So far, the majority of folks say worried but hopeful. And below that, at about 31%, people say optimistic. We see that we can make a change.
For some reason, I'm very inspired by realizing, despite our being worried, that we, those of us here tonight, haven't given up. So, maybe our neighbor has, maybe the person in line at the grocery store has, but we haven't. And this whole course is built on that spark of possibility and knowing on some deep, deep level, it's not too late. There is something that can be done, and I and you and we can be part of it. So, you're in the right place. Thank you.
Great. Let's actually, this one ends up at about 57% of people felt worried but hopeful. So let's bring up another poll, which is, let's go ahead and bring this one up. So the main reason you're taking the course. Again, for folks on the phone, I'll go ahead and read the answers. So, took the course because you needed hope. You took it because you want to connect with others like me or like you. Looking for information and ready to act. So 75% of folks right now ready to act. And wanting to connect to others a close second. And I have to say, what a pairing. What about being ready to act while connecting to others? Ideally this is not done, we can't do it alone, but this happens in community, this happens together. This is really what the point of this evening is, to really show how we are all connected to each other and who you're actually doing this with.
Nobody needs hope.
Nobody needs hope. Well, folks.
No, that's not why they took the course. Probably we all could use a little extra hope every now and then.
Well, the biggest answer to the other one was worried but hopeful. So folks are they're hopeful and maybe justifiably worried, and they're ready to do something about it.
And Jessa points out she really had more than one. She would have liked to click, and the platform doesn't allow more than one choice. So sorry about that. Okay, next poll would be, so far, 2 modules in, what are you liking the best? Which function of it are you most enjoying? The readings, the videos, again, sorry you can't click 2. The readings, the videos, writing in the discussion forums, the small group. Oh no, on that one you get to do all of the above, and you also get to do none of the above. I'll give you a minute to keep voting here.
Wow.
What are you wowing about?
Well, we got overwhelmingly people love videos, or they love everything. which is really incredible. We got about almost the same number of people. Well, we got about 35% say all of the above, and about 45% of people say that the videos in particular.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Very, very cool. A quick note about all of those videos. So at the end of this course, we will actually provide a bibliography/syllabus of the content so that you can continue diving into it in the future. This is really by popular request. People have been asking for this. So we'll make it available to you, and you'll typically have about a month of access to the course once the course ends. So you can continue to look at it on site. We'll also provide you outside links to all of that material.
Okay, so here's us being transparent. The last 5 courses have all said, please don't take this material down, it's so good. And we went back and forth, and so this time we've decided to do what Mario just said. We've never done that. We haven't made the links, etc., available in a bibliography form. But just as you said that, now I'm afraid everyone's going to say, they're going to give me a bibliography. I'm not going to do any of this stuff now. So we're going to find out if that's a problem or not. We highly encourage you to use this concentrated time while you are in the intensive to actually do the intensive. And by now you understand that we've got the coursework for each module. We've even starred the ones we think, okay, if this is a super busy week for you, you can't do it all, just at least do the starred ones. And then you've got all the resources for going deeper and wider. My recommendation and Mara's recommendation, do everything you can on the above the line part each week, and then save the resources for going deeper and wider if you are running out of time that week.
A quick note about writing in the forums. So, to some folks, this is just a great avenue to get their ideas across. They can sit down, they can think it through, and just write. Interestingly, the forums are some of the most viewed pieces of content on the whole site, but we don't necessarily see as many posts as would show that the number of sort of views that we get. So we really want to encourage, there's a way when people put their ideas out there, it means so much to actually hear back. So, if you don't necessarily want to post your own ideas, don't underestimate how valuable an acknowledgement from you is to somebody who has posted something. So, you don't need to write the next great American novel when you're posting on the discussion forums. Simply acknowledging somebody, as simple as, hey, that was great to see you talking, I love your ideas. That actually goes a long way to creating a sense of community and encouraging people thinking about this material.
And one other thing to say, the very first time we did the intensive, everybody's postings were visible to everybody else. And the feedback we got were, too much information, there's way too much to read. So we've got you organized, I think, into groups of about 50. Mm-hmm. So you've got like a portion of the community's postings to read, but not everybody's. There's one place where if you want, because when you post something, just your other 49 people are going to be able to see what you wrote. If you want to reach the entire community, there's one new button, I don't know, have they had it all along, the great stuff button?
I don't know.
It's either new or not new. Anyway, on the right-hand side, when you're on the course site, look for something that says great stuff. And that's where, as you come upon something that you think would just be a great addition to the Game Changer Intensive, or something that you want everyone in the community to be able to see, you feel free to post it there and the entire community will have access to it. So that's the great stuff button on the right-hand side of your screen when you're doing your coursework.
Beautiful.
All right. I want to read to you, because some of us do get a chance to read all of the discussion forums, or at least look them over pretty carefully. And you're just inspiring. You guys, you're wonderful. You would be in love with everybody if you got to read them. So we've picked a few quotes we're just going to read to you to give you a taste of yourself. So here's somebody who said, I've been living with this environmental thing on my heart for precisely 47 very lonely years. I am certain now that I am alone no more, and that we, the people, are on the move now. A prayer has been answered, and I am truly grateful and ready to rock and roll.
Cheers. Love that one.
Here's another one. I'm committed to making a difference in some way before leaving the planet, and I have not yet found my voice. I hope to find my voice.
So this is a longer one that I really love. Should we exert energy on the forest fire in front of us, or should we focus on changing the land use patterns that made the fire so intense? Alas, we have to do both if we are to survive. The fire right now could kill us, and the behaviors that are setting up massive fires in the future are equally dangerous. We are in a situation where we have to address both. Like Al Gore's quote, we need to go far and quickly.
And someone else said it this way, I think it was Ben. As Annie Leonard says, it's vital to stay focused on the big ideas, the world we really want, even when our immediate actions are largely focused on far less radical short-term gains, or more often just preventing things from getting worse. And then here's one I love. I understand and to some level agree with Bill Twist's statement that the game is rigged when it comes to politics and governments and corporate interests. However, I think there's an even bigger game at play that is also rigged. But this one is rigged in our favor. It's the game of the universe and all the energy, power at play in it.
There's one that I really love. I am delighted that Module 1 launched the series of somatic exercises and addressed questions around spiritual leadership. On a deep level, these two are physical and cognitive facets of the same thing, a thing that will be essential to making game-changing occur. You're here.
All right. So Mario and I wanted to just talk a little bit more about where the intensive came from, what's kind of some of the philosophy behind it. I was interested to read in the applications. Many of us in the community now found out about the Pachamama Alliance, found out about the Game Changer Intensive by prowling around the internet, or somebody told them about it. Not everyone in the course has spent 5 years or even 10 years with, for example, the Pachamama Alliance, the organization that has put this together. So it's just good to know that we're coming in from a bunch of different perspectives. And we wanted to give you a little bit of a frame on where this thing came from and what we're really doing. So I'll start and then you could interrupt.
Great.
Great. So,
I'll take a moment to interrupt. Right. So very shortly, we're going to actually have you, excuse me while I log back in, we're going to have you pose questions to us. So this would be a good time to start thinking of any questions you'd like us to answer, anything you're curious about. Again, near the chat box, there is a guy with a question, or a person with a question mark hovering above him. If you click on that, you can pose a question to us. Again, don't be worried if you don't see other questions or your question doesn't pop up. We can see them, and we're going to go ahead and moderate these so that we can see and decide which questions we'll pose. So go ahead and start thinking now, as you were.
All right. So background, just to say that the Pachamama Alliance, which is the organization that's offering this Game Changer Intensive, began about 20 years ago in the rainforest of the eastern Amazon basin of Ecuador, where the founders were on a trip there, and they met with a tribe, the Achua tribe, who lived deep, deep, deep in the middle of the rainforest and who had been receiving dreams. And it's a dream culture. And in their dreams, they understood that they had a message for the rest of the world, and that the rest of the world had a way to interact with them. And rather than fighting the outside world, the way all the neighboring tribes were doing, defending their territories, the Achua, through their dream culture, understood that what they wanted to do was find some allies. And a little bit unbeknownst to them, the Bill and Lynn Twist and John Perkins, they were down there, they were talking with the elders, and a deal got struck. Okay, we'll take it on. We don't exactly know what we're doing, but yeah, we'll take it on. And as I said, that was 20 years ago. It isn't as though they or we had any particular expertise in this area. We didn't. What we had was a deep resonance with what the Achua were saying. And we began our work with them in supporting them in their life and work in the rainforest to protect their home, the rainforest, for the world. It wasn't too long before they said, thank you for everything you're doing. But you know what, if you really want to protect the rainforest, go home. Go home and change how you guys are living, because the way you're living is what's destroying the rainforest. So if you're interested in rainforest preservation, go home, and talk to your people. Have them change the dream of the modern world. Yeah, not so easy. Not so easy. If you came home one day and someone said to you, all right, you're on, change the dream of the modern world, it's not necessarily clear how that would happen. So long story collapsed here. What we came up with was something called the Awakening the Dream or Changing the Dream Symposium. Many of us, hopefully all of us in this course, have some experience with it. At some point, it became clear, and it was really after many, many years of having people wake up, which is what happens in the symposium, where you go, holy moly, this is what's going on. Oh, wait, something else is possible. Wait, I can be part of the solution. We kind of left people with that for a long, long, long time. And after, I'd say, years of input and thinking, etc., it became clear two things. That people, after they took the symposium, wanted something next. They want to know what to do with this new awakened self, where to direct themselves. That was one point. And the other point is what we realized is that no matter how committed we are, you out there, us here, any of us, to the three-part mission of the Pachamama Alliance, which you probably know, but I'm just going to repeat it for you. It's to bring forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just human presence on this planet. If that's our goal, we realize that just being committed and visionaries was not going to create it. And this, that what's needed is that there are actually some systems, some structures that are kind of designed to prevent that from happening. And we can get up earlier in the morning and stay up later at night, but there's actual obstacles in the way. And so the Game Changer Intensive really came out of our desire, number one, to offer people a program after the symposium, but also as a chance to look at what are those obstacles, and is there anything that can be done? And given there's so much going on, where do I begin? Which, well, that's worth doing, that's worth doing, that's worth doing. And so we've spent years discerning, I would say, which, at this point, two areas that if there were concentrated impact in these two movements, it could be a game changer for the whole world, for all the things we're all committed to. So that's my short version.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wanted to speak to something, and that's that, there have been sort of two tracks to my life, and I read this a lot in the discussion forums and in the applications. There's the track of sort of personal development, what in lots of ways I consider the most important work I do personally, healing myself, extricating myself from the story of separation, extricating myself from a sense of being alone, not only in my world, but in some way in the universe. A separation from not only people, but the earth itself. And then there's other work that I've done around activism and social justice. Again, these things get me fired up. And it's been rare that I have been able to find a place, that we've been able to find a place to bridge those two worlds. And that's really what the Game Changer Intensive and the Pachamama Alliance are committed to, so that those two tracks are actually key to the success of any changes that we want to bring forth. So, there is a way where it's easy for us to have a knee-jerk response to, for instance, political action. Far too often, political action is necessitated that your personal development or that even your political aspirations are diluted. There is a way where we are actually saying that the real work for us to do is both cultivating ourselves deeply. These are really the things that make the difference, changing that story of separation. And a key way to change the systems and structures is to bring forth a new kind of democracy. I think Bill talks about it in the videos. This isn't the democracy that was in our Constitution per se. This is a democracy that's commensurate with the level of human beings that we're actually cultivating ourselves to be. So the work isn't so much ignore democracy, ignore the political system so that we cultivate the power of story. The key is to do both. As we cultivate ourselves, as we build a new story, or as we join in the forces that are in the story that are already currently on, that we also are at the same time building systems and structures that can meet where we actually are. that can provide a means for voices and collaborations and to actually be heard and to exercise power. So this is really, I mean, I'm speaking to democracy right now. So many of us resonate with climate change and the urgency of that. I mean, this is just, you know, Bill reminds us all the time, we can't, this is the house that we live in. If we don't take care of the house, that's all she wrote. This is key work. We're all committed to that. Sometimes people have a little bit of a harder time with democracy. You know, what democracy? Isn't that just filling the pockets of the people already in power? You know, we're really proposing new ways of being that empower people, that ensure that people have voices. And I'll also say, you know, one of the movements that we, or organizations that we partner with is Move to Amend. And they're really clear that, you know, they're trying to do specific legislative work, but they're also building a movement. It's getting people involved with who see that democracy, and a democracy that maybe hasn't been seen, yet, but that a movement for democracy is actually being built. So it's an important aspect to remember that I mean, the actual legislative things are key, and the movements to actually build voices is also just as important. Do you want to say anything about,
yes, yeah. So you just finished the module on story, I believe. In it, one of my favorite lines, it boggles my mind every time I think this, that quote, "We don't live in the world, we live in the story we tell ourselves about the world." I mean, that is so hard for me. I can get it maybe like for 2 minutes or 1 minute. Oh yeah, I get it. And then I'm living in, you know, what I think, this is real, I'm real, you're real. What do you mean story? It's just one of the most fertile areas for inquiry, I would suggest, that we invite you to really look in pretty deeply for yourself throughout the course and frankly forever. What does that mean? That you're not living in the world, you're living in the story you tell yourself about the world. It's just, for me, tremendously opening inquiry, and we are delighted to invite you into that question. The module that's coming up now, Evolutionary Activism, gives us an opportunity to look at what is the role of human beings now in the evolution of the planet. What is the human role? What story is going on now that we can tune into that talks about our role, your role in evolution? Some of us have never even thought of such an idea. That's what you have to look forward to this coming week. Let's see if we have any questions. We'll just take a couple minutes to see. Are these the questions?
Yep. So again, now is the time to pose questions. So look to the little person with the question mark beside them. This is where you post questions, and I think I actually saw some questions in the chat area. So one of the questions is, will there be an opportunity for face-to-face meetings? So this is fantastic. And actually, there's another question that I'm going to say is actually connected to the answer. And the other question is, will the course talk about ways to stay motivated to pursue our action plans? So here's something that we have found to be very motivating, and that's community. So something that has emerged for me, at least, is, you know, people finish the intensive and then say, well, how do we stay connected to the people we've been meeting with weekly? And we get other people who say, this is fantastic. How do I do this in my local community? This is the direction that we're really hoping to invest in, and it's a direction that you can actually take on. So here's my very specific proposal, and there are bigger picture ones, but my very specific proposal is that you're going to go through the intensive and you'll be done in about 4 weeks. And, you know, it's a lot of material. It's really worth revisiting. We actually get quite a few people who come back and take it over and over again. Here's my invitation to you. Come back as a moderator, and actually we can help you do some recruitment in your local area, and that the next time you can take an intensive and actually do it locally with people face to face. This is a key thing that I think is really rich to help keep you motivated, and actually give you that intimacy of being face to face. As you saw with that map, we're spread across the globe. So it's hard for us to meet face to face, though we can meet virtually, and that we can have an effect on our local communities by actually hosting Game Changer intensive weekly groups. You know, you don't have to look at the content together, but you can meet weekly to go over the content, somebody's living room or a community hall or a cafe even.
There's a question about, would we look at options for putting you guys in touch with people in your communities who've done the intensive? Do you know the answer to that?
Reach out to us. Email intensive@pachamama.org. I can't emphasize enough, we have come to our senses. We need to help this effort. There is a deep desire, very, very clearly, to do the intensive in community, and obviously to stay in action in local community. So email us, and Ariel, if you don't mind posting that email on the chats just so that people can have it, that would be great. So email us at intensive@pachamama.org, and we'll work something out with you.
Yeah, I might mention, this program is not all that old. So in some ways, you're one of the pioneers. So if you have a real interest in something like that, just be warned. We may ask you to help figure out the solution, or ask you to go meet with some people who you know who are smart, who understand this, and help create. So it isn't like there's this staff of 8,000 people here ready to make all these changes. We know what some of the great ideas are, and some of the best resources are probably people who are in this course right now. So you might be part of the solution. Take a couple more. We're done.
Yeah, let's take a couple more. Did you say that the module material will be available after we have completed the intensive? Yes, some of it will be. Some of it is copyrighted, but the vast majority is actually available on the Commons, and we will make it available to you.
And then last one is, I think Anna was asking, does Pachamama Alliance do any lobbying or legislative work that you could get directly involved in? That's just a wonderful question. Once you start investigating Move to Amend and Citizens Climate Lobby, you will find more support for getting involved with lobbying and legislative interaction than you could possibly hope for. So we're certainly not reinventing the wheel. They're doing a fabulous job on that, and so we're going to suggest you work with them and support them.
And I'm just going to say, we are committed to being the sort of home base for you as you go and do these different actions. We will keep alive the big story of evolutionary activism. We'll remind you of the power of story, and to not fall back into the story of separateness. So use us as a sort of home base to stay energized and engaged with the sort of big picture. And any other actions that you do, we highly encourage, and as Tracy said, you'll have lots of opportunities for lobbying, and use us as your home base.
Okay, let's hit them with a poll.
Great. Let's bring up poll number 8. So in terms of activism, what is true for you? And for those of you on the phone, I'll go ahead and read. I am a long-term activist. I have been involved with some causes. I care a lot but don't have time. I'd like to but don't know what to do. And something other. So we've got about 60% of people who have been involved with some cause at some point. Want to read the rest of those? So we've got at 23% people who say, I'd like to but don't know what to do. So we hope to introduce you to some ideas of what you can get involved in. I care a lot but don't have time, and something other. We got about 18% of people saying that they're long-term activists, and most people saying that they've been involved at some point or other. So there's a lot of experience. So we've got almost 80% of us have been involved in one way or another, or are currently involved now. And actually, it was funny. I was talking to Ariel today, and we weren't sure if we consider ourselves activists.
Well, I think this next chat is going to address that.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, thank you for that. All right, now we're gonna do 3 chats in a row. And the chat again is that little bar in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. There's nothing in it right now, but once you start to type, your response will be in it. So when we're gonna pose a question, and then hopefully you're gonna go to your computer and you're gonna write. And so is everyone else on the call. So we'll give ourselves a moment to think about the question and then to write, and then just to scroll down, what are some of the other ideas? You're not going to be able to read every single response to these chats, but what's important for now is that you respond, see what's true for you, scroll down, just get a sense of what others are thinking, and then to remember that tomorrow you can go back and read all the chats if you like. So this question for the chat came up about an hour before the course. And that is to say, we were reading feedback, and in one of your discussion forum posts, somebody said, well, I don't know, is there a difference between activism and being in action? And I said to Mara, what do you think? And he said, I don't know, what do you think? I said, I don't know. And so we could pretend we know the answer, but instead, we thought, why don't we just all say, what do you guys think? Is there a difference? Speaking, again, try not to speak politically or rhetorically, but for yourself. How would you describe, is there a difference between activism and being in action? So now we're not going to talk for about 30 seconds, and you think and see how you would answer that. And please just write it in the chat on the right-hand side. Ooh, Jim, activism is action that calls others to action. Ooh, nailed it. Wow. An activist is definitely in action, right?
Activism is action toward changing something in the wider world.
Interesting.
Activism is directed and strategic.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that the difference is like the difference of somebody who plays guitar and somebody who calls themselves a musician. In some way, they're actually very, very similar. They're almost the same thing, and one is identifying their action as activism.
Activism is being in action is doing. That's interesting. So you be an activist and you do action. That's it. See, good thing we're having them do this instead of us trying to come up with things.
Activism is a way of life. Action is required for living. Whoa. Lorraine Cook, she's been around for a while. She really knows this stuff. Activism is a way of life, and action is required for living. Thank you.
Okay, so as you can see, we're not pretending to have all the answers. One of the things we want to have happen for you in this course is for you to be stimulated and for you to take this stimulation into your life. Talk with the other people around you. So this was a great example. All right. Next chat is going to be...
So as Tracy mentioned, we're going to have 3 quick chats, and here's the second chat. How are you taking what you've learned from the course out into the world?
So far.
So far. So we're in our 3rd week, entering our 3rd week. So how are you taking what you've learned out into the world?
And pause for a minute. Maybe you aren't. Could you write that? Could you let us all know that? Maybe it's too hard. Maybe you just put your toe in the water. So this is really we want to find out for ourselves as well. How, 2 modules in, are people taking this course into their lives, or are we not yet doing that? So we'll be quiet for a moment while you write.
A lot of people sharing. Oh, am I not supposed to talk?
You can. Well, yeah, don't say anything too interesting.
Okay. It's really hard for me. Not yet. I'm preparing. I appreciate that.
Changed in my quality of conversation with others.
So, we've got a lot of people sharing it with others or just talking about their experience. This is so huge. So much of... I want to mention something very quickly, and that's that, this course will actually mean so much more if you can do it or if your community does it. So you sharing it will hopefully get people to actually take the course, and other people close to you taking the course makes it more likely that you're actually going to do the things that you want to do. So as you share, make sure to invite people in to join one of the courses in the future.
Great.
Cool.
It's just beautiful to read. Okay, thanks. And again, you'll be able to read these at your leisure. So we could take that one down and not put anything else up yet, if possible. Yeah. So the final chat has, I'll tell you what it is, but I want to tell you about it before you start writing. I think you remember from the orientation module, we talked about the good old comfort zone. We all have a place where we feel good about ourselves. We're making our difference in the world, but we're doing it in a way that feels comfortable and feels like us. That's the comfort zone. And then there's a thing called the panic zone, where the people are doing this wild stuff that's like, you're not going to do in this lifetime. No way. Don't count on me. And then there's that middle band called the stretch zone. And I think we said in that video, and if we didn't, I'm going to say it right now, our goal in this course is to have all of us and you, move into our stretch zones way, way more than we currently do. That's one of the actual goals for this course, is for you to find out, first of all, you got to find out where your stretch zone is, and then start moving into it. And I guess I just want to say it because it isn't like, this is not a self-help course. You might get better, quote, during this course. That's not why we've organized it. We are addressing, with all seriousness and with the biggest open hearts possible, what seems to us to be one of the most important issues possible for a human being to face, which is what is happening to our world? What is happening to the people in our world? What is happening to us as human beings? Is it just going to keep going the way it is now? Because if you read the paper and watch the news, it doesn't look so good, and it's not so inspiring a lot of the time. So the issue we're inviting you to stretch into is to being an activist in action to actually change the dream of the modern world, to be one of the game changers. And I mean, I don't know how else to say it. You are not, it's not going to happen when you're in your comfort zone. That's not how it works. Growth, movement happens in our stretch zones. That's true for every single one of us. So we could put the poll up now. The question that, in all sincerity, we'd love you to ask yourself is, what would I need to do to put myself in my stretch zone during this intensive? So let me just say it again. You're not going to write in the chat after you think about it for a minute, what do I need to do to kind of urge myself into my stretch zone? So you're kind of telling on yourself here. Again, we're not keeping track. We're not going to follow you up. This is for you. So take a minute. What would you need to do to get yourself into your stretch zone in the intensive?
For some reason, I just really appreciate you have to put yourself in the stretch zone.
Yeah.
There's a way that you actually have to help yourself grow in these ways.
Yeah, a couple of people are mentioning the forums. Appreciate your doing that, because some people have said to me, I'm not a writer, and I don't want to read everybody's polemics. Well, there's something that happens if you just throw yourself in the game anyway. If you just throw yourself into those forums, say what's yours, what's true for you there. So I appreciate people being honest about that. Just keep looking. For you, what would have you be in your stretch zone? Take a minute. And take a minute knowing what's at stake. The premise of this course is that something huge is at stake. Huge. And that little folks like us can be making a difference. That's the premise of this course. Continue to question my relationship with reality more deeply. Really spend time in the discussion forums. Realize there are other folks like me out there. Make the intensive a priority. Here's one. Share with people who are unfamiliar with these ideas. How easy is it for us tonight? We know you share these ideas. You took the course, So this person's saying, no, what would it be like to share these ideas with not us? Brilliant.
Share the elements of each module outside the GCI events and social media and generate deep conversations there. Again, extending it to audiences that you might not know whether or not they're consumers of this kind of information.
I love that. Love those answers.
Wonderful. So again, these chats are going to be available. Probably tomorrow we'll have them all up so you can enjoy. I mean, my heart right now is just totally melted with hearing these things. These are going to be available to read tomorrow. Wanted to make a quick note about tuition, which you may have noticed there is none. That's on purpose. You know, we really wanted to make this intensive accessible to as many people as who can take it. And when you enrolled in the course, you may have noticed that we said that there will be an ask. We will ask you for a donation, a contribution, an investment to make to the course. And I just wanted to let you know that we are going to do that, and we're going to do it at the last community gathering. So I'm really trying to hold integrity and just be totally upfront with you. There isn't a tuition, and we are going to ask that you contribute something. And you know, I assume you will do something that's commensurate with what you can actually do, and that speaks to what you got out of the course. And actually, if you wanted to donate now, you can. On the intensive homepage, there is a donate button. You can click that link and it will take you to a page where you can contribute to the Game Changer Intensive and the Pachamama Alliance.
Or you can donate now and then.
Absolutely, you can positively do both. So by all means, you know, I invite you to start thinking about that. What are you getting out of the course and what can you invest in? I will just throw a number out there because it might be surprising to you. You know, we've crunched the numbers and it costs between $60 and $70 per person to put on the intensive. So that's something to think about. You know, $60 for some of us is what we spend on coffee in a month, and for some of us it's a lot of money. So think about where you are on that spectrum and consider a donation that's commensurate with what you can actually afford. If you can afford to pay for more than one person's tuition, please do.
Add some zeros onto that 60.
Add some zeros. You know, I think the biggest contribution we had last time was a couple of people donated $5,000. These are people who are investing in more than just people coming into it, but really investing in the intensive. So Ariel, thank you so much for posting the link. You can go there now and donate. And we'll also be making a real ask at the next live community gathering.
We asked you to keep your schedule open until the hour, which for us here in California is 7 o'clock, and we are intentionally ending a little bit early. We wanted to do two things. We wanted to give you time to use the chat room on the side. If you just want to have open conversations with anybody on the call, you should feel free. We also wanted to give you back 10 or 15 minutes back of your life to go start reading the evolutionary activism material so you can get a little head start on evolutionary activism. So we're going to be coming to the end of this call.
One thing I do want to mention, and Tracy mentioned this, and I've mentioned it a little bit, I can't emphasize it enough, your feedback makes a huge difference. We really do use it.
And where do they do it? Where do they find that button?
So right on the home page of the course website, this is the website you go to anytime you're looking at content. On the right-hand side, there is a feedback button. If you fill that out and send it to us, with any ideas you've got, it really makes a huge difference. So I really invite you to send us feedback. You know this, but your next meetings, your small group meetings, are going to be this coming Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We are going to actually be releasing the next bit of content on Wednesday morning. So you can look forward to an email from us early Wednesday morning, and that will be Grounded Optimism.
And if you think, like if you're not going to attend your small group, you think, I don't know, it'll notice I'm not there. Let me tell you, as someone who reads the feedback, people notice. Yeah. So obviously, if you can't go, you can't go, but you are given the email or ways to connect with one another. Please, please, if you can't make your small group meeting, let the others know that you won't make it, so they're not there wondering, like, was it something I said or what? Really helpful.
And just to flesh that out, when Tracy says we've read the feedback, it's people actually sometimes are hurt when people drop out of the course. So a simple email goes a long way to just let people know I got busy, I've got things going on, or what have you.
We have a little public relations comment. Yay for the evolutionary activism topic. So we've got somebody, Kit, telling you you've got a good one to look forward to this week.
Cool. Well,
hate to say goodbye. It's been swell. Sorry we did all the talking. Maybe in 2 years when we do this course again, there'll be a whole new platform and you'll talk and we'll see your face and like that. But for now, thank you for putting up with whatever glitches there were. Thank you for dealing with transformation of yourself and the planet through technology and computers instead of through being with live human beings. It's cutting edge, and bless you for being in this course. Thank you.
so we'll see you again May 6th. Bye-bye.
And we'll keep the chat open.